Euromaxx highlights. In today's show, Beethoven Revolution. A Dutch conductor slows down the great German composer. Beer Boom. Wineland Italy acquires a taste for fine ales. And Fur Play. Fake fur fashions you can wear with a good conscience. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
Hello from Berlin and welcome. All those stories coming up in the next half hour, but we begin with YouTube's most celebrated furry animal, Simon's cat. Cartoonist Simon Tofield first animated these wonderful stories back in 2007. And after they were posted on the internet, they drew millions of hits in no time. The films and now the second book are simple vignettes of Simon's life with his cat. And there's no doubt who's boss in this relationship.
This is Simon's cat, and Simon, who is trying to watch TV. It's a battle that only one can win, Simon's cat. This is the cat in reality. And this is Simon Tofield, a 39-year-old British animator. He invented his cat cartoon 3 years ago as he was learning to use new animation software.
That morning, Hugh, who was in a tiny kitten, had been jumping all over me for his breakfast, trying to wake me up, and he'd been doing my nose, pulling my ear, trying to get me up for my breakfast. Finally, I got up and said, OK, I'll feed you. So I fed him, and he was happy. And then I sat down to think of an idea for a little film to do on this flash, and I thought, there you go, perfect. I'll do a man in bed with a cat trying to wake him up.
The video has been watched almost 19 million times so far on YouTube. At first, the artist didn't even want to upload it to the internet.
First, I thought, oh, this is terrible, but actually it turned out to be the best thing that happened to me because
The stories are all about the loving, neurotic relationship between cat and human. Simon's cat is interested in one thing and one thing only: food.
I think people train dogs, but they also that cats train people because they'll do something in a way that before you know it, you're trained and you're feeding them when they want to be fed and you don't realise it. And you think, oh, they've got me wrapped around their little finger, and you've become their slave in a way, which is quite funny.
His stories are inspired by the real-life adventures of a regular kind of cat. This is what happened when the Euromaxx camera team came to visit. Hugh also likes to go prowling through the neighbourhood, where they live in Leighton Buzzard, near London. There are so many stories to tell that Simon Tofield is now making books. 2 have already appeared, and the first has been published in 24 countries.
The good thing about doing a comic strip about a cat is that cats are the same no matter what country you live in. Cats will always act the same, really. They make the same noises, they act the same, they have the same facial expressions, the same body language. So all of my illustrations can be read worldwide.
The first book has sold almost 400,000 copies. Tofield studied graphics and animation at university. He's now founded a company, Simon's Cat Limited, and the first fan merchandise is also available, as requested by his followers. 4 people now work for Simon's Cat Limited, and a new film is taking shape, designed by Simon Tofield. And he draws the pictures one by one on his computer, working from sketches on paper.
has to have very good timing, because the drawings are so simple that it's all about the timing of the gags and when things fall down, and it's basic old-fashioned slapstick comedy where you've got...
The sounds are also part of the secret of Simon's cat's success. Tofield dubbed the cat himself.
Meow. Meow.
A trademark of Simon's cat.
People around the world, they see their own animals in my animations. It makes my films very dear to them, as if it's their cat on screen, and they can really relate to that, and so they immediately kind of like it. They fall in love with it, as if it's watching their own animal. And people always say to me, "Oh, my cat does that, so that's just like my cat."
And this is how the game between cat and human runs. There's no question who wins in the end.
They're wonderfully done. Time now to meet the Dutch conductor Harke de Roos, who believes we've been playing Beethoven symphonies at the wrong speed for 200 years. He says the metronome instructions are misleading, and he's just conducted the Second Symphony in what he believes are the original tempi to show what he means.
It seems straightforward on the face of it. The tempi are written out, accompanied by metronome marks. That would appear to specify the tempi beyond a doubt. Musicians have always struggled with Beethoven's symphonies. And now it's all become even more complicated. The traditional interpretation of Beethoven has been upended, here in this small town in Hessen. This is where Dutch conductor Harke de Roos lives. He says he discovered something that hadn't been noticed or heard before.
All diese Metronoomzahlen sind Fehler.
All of these metronome marks are mistakes, but they're deliberate mistakes. Some of them were noticed before, but people always assumed Beethoven made a mistake. It was a bit of an insult to Beethoven's honor as a musician.
Harke de Roos has taken the music world by storm with his new theory. Most of the metronome marks were a deliberate puzzle on Beethoven's part, he says. But why should Beethoven have done such a thing?
Een test für die Musiker, ob sie die klassische Gesetze kennen.
It's a test for the musicians to see if they understand the classical rules. Are they observant? Are they paying attention? Is his music in good hands? He wanted to demonstrate that he wasn't the one who was deaf, but the musicians playing the piece.
In fact, the metronome was invented during Beethoven's lifetime. In many cases, he added the metronome marks years after he had composed a symphony.
This is 66. This is the correct tempo. This is the tempo Beethoven speeded up. Quite a bit faster. In his puzzle. And this is what it sounds like.
If Beethoven's tempi are followed as written, some passages are nearly unplayable, as many musicians will admit. Harke de Roos also believes that Beethoven was poking ironic fun at the metronome, which was still a primitive instrument at the time. Here in Vienna, Harke de Roos was finally able to fulfill a long-standing dream. Together with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra, he performed Beethoven's Second Symphony, using the tempi that he believes were the original ones.
Yes, the difference is striking, enormous. I've never played anything so differently.
It's unfamiliar at first, of course, because the orchestra is used to the conventional tempi. But this way, we can hear things we've never been able to hear before, things that were hidden until now.
The last decision a musician has to make when rehearsing a piece is about the tempo. And that involves understanding what it's actually about, its dynamic, how it fits together. And then comes the last question: which tempo best captures all these things is the million-dollar question.
Interpreting means recreating something for yourself in a personal way. It's not as though a performer who doesn't stick to the metronome marks is offending anyone or insulting Beethoven. Good Lord, it's just his interpretation.
Harke de Roos has ambitious plans. With support from a foundation, he would like to record all of Beethoven's symphonies and thereby rescue his honor.
There's no real beer tradition in Italy like there is here in Germany, and that means the Italians can be a bit bolder with their brews. So small breweries there are adding exotic taste to their beer, supplementing it with anything from chestnuts to chocolate. And it seems to be having the right effect as beer consumption is rising. We visited 3 microbreweries in northern Italy to find out more.
The Italians call it birra artigianali, artisan beer. It comes in hundreds of varieties. Noel is a dark brew flavoured with cocoa beans. Amber-coloured elixir is fruity and refreshing. Teo Musso has been selling his home-brewed beer for 15 years. His most popular is Super Balladine, with 8% alcohol content, so it's not for lightweights.
Yes, it's strong, that's true, but in a subtle way, like an aquarelle.
Teo Musso enjoys serving his 20 varieties of beer to his guests. His beers appeal to discerning tastes.
It's for wine drinkers who want to give beer a try, and for anyone who's interested in trying something new, who wants to taste something different from the usual fizzy, bitter, clear brews.
La canonica interpretazione della bionda gasata amara trasparente.
Teo Musso's brewery is in the village of Piozzo in the Barola wine district of Piemonte. People from across northern Italy come to pay a visit. His pub is packed to the rafters every evening. The guests tap their own beers at the table from a 2-litre dispenser that Teo Musso designed himself.
We come all the time. The beer is exquisite. It has a special flavour.
It's home brewed. If you want something different, this is where you'll find it.
Here in the mountain village of Monissimo in Liguria, the Scarampola microbrewery is hidden away in a former monastery. Maurizio Guidetti uses only local products. The top fermented beer is brewed at between 21 and 24 degrees Celsius. Then it's aged in the bottle for 2 months.
I brew top fermented beer because it lasts longer and because the flavors of the ingredients I use really develop to the full. The aromas of chestnuts, bitter orange, and so forth.
100 kilometers to the north, the Barbaresco wine region is home to the tiny Beethoven brewery. The owner, Marco Marengo, is a fan of British and Belgian beers and enjoys experimenting with spices such as mint and cinnamon. He roasts barley along with chocolate for one of his 8 varieties. A stout is dubbed Black Rebel.
It's the spices that gives the beer its flavour. They bind with the yeast during fermentation and create an aroma that wouldn't otherwise be possible.
Senza spezie non si potrebbe raggiungere.
A 300 milliliter glass costs around €4.50, while a bottle sells for 10. 334 microbrewers share the market for artisan beers in Italy, with brews coming from the Lazio region, Tuscany, and even Sicily. Some of the beers also have labels in German. 90% of the beers are sold in bottles.
Beer these days no longer means only the usual light-colored varieties. That's only one way to brew beer, and far from the only one. There are countless different ways for brewers to interpret their art.
Non è l'unico, no? Anzi, sono veramente infiniti con tutte le varie interpretazioni che un birraio può dare.
Teo Musu is breaking new ground. His restaurant in Piozzo, Casa Balladine, is the only gourmet restaurant in Italy that serves only beer but no wine.
Well, whatever the flavour, you can't fake a beer, but you can fake a fur. There have been various famous campaigns against the use of real fur in the fashion industry, and with fake fur improving in quality as well, it seems the real thing is out. Even Karl Lagerfeld, who has spoken out in the past in favour of real fur, now says you cannot fake chic, but you can be chic in fake fur.
It looks like the real thing, but it isn't. Boots, coats and pants, a complete outfit made out of fake fur. In his current collection for Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld has used only imitation fur. It's a material he's often experimented with.
Karl Lagerfeld is someone who takes a modern approach.
He's been doing the Fendi collection for decades. And years ago, he insisted that parts of the collection use fake fur. At the time, he justified his decision by arguing that it was modern. You have to go with the times, and now is the time for fake fur.
Since the 1990s, massive protests by animal rights organizations have made wearing real fur unattractive. This has increased the demand for fake fur, which is produced from synthetic fibers. Fake fur isn't new. It was already fashionable in the 1950s, but the quality was poor. Now, new manufacturing techniques make it hard to tell imitation fur from the real thing. Fake fur has now become acceptable in fashion circles. More and more stars now sport it in public.
The ordinary person can no longer tell the difference between fake fur and real fur, at least not from a distance. Where you can tell the difference is in the way it feels. Fake fur feels different. It doesn't have the undercoat or the skin. It's woven in. Fake fur is supported underneath by textile. That's what it's built on.
Imitation fur has made its way into designer boutiques. Everywhere you look, there's chinchilla, sable, fox, all fake. Imitation fur also has many advantages over real fur. It's cheaper, washable, and you can wear it with a clear conscience.
Fake fur has the same characteristics as real fur. It conveys a feeling of warmth, a coziness. When you're wearing a fur coat and nestle into it, you're enfolded by it, cocooned. And naturally, that gives you an unbelievably pleasant, warm feeling. I'd say a very homey one.
Fake fur can be used in coats, bags, boots, in countless variations. And no animals are killed to make them.
Today's consumer is environmentally conscious, is concerned about how animals are kept, and wants to know how and where things are made. She is a much more conscious shopper, is better informed. That's what's behind the current trend towards fake fur.
informiert, deshalb auch der jetzige Trend des Kunstpelzes darauf zurückgreift.
But fake fur isn't just for women. Karl Lagerfeld sends men down the catwalk wearing it. In fake fur, both genders can face the cold days of winter in style.
Scandinavian artists Elmgreen and Inga Dragset challenge the way art is typically presented. They think big, and in their first solo exhibition in Germany, they have made one of the largest installations in recent art history. They've actually created a kind of housing estate inside an art gallery and an empty ballroom by its side. Sounds intriguing, so let's take a look.
At Karlsruhe Center for Art and Media, two huge installations wow visitors. A full-scale, four-story mock prefab housing block. And next to it, an empty ballroom. At one end of the ballroom, you can see and hear people in an adjacent room that visitors are not allowed to enter.
There's a VIP party going on.
But we're not allowed in.
We are not invited, as usual.
It's maybe also the role of an artist in a way. You always sort of get a peek into different worlds, but you're not really a part of it. But it's a good position to observe from.
At the other end of the room, a boy sits cowering in the fireplace. The exhibition takes a critical view of society's obsession with celebrities, a relationship that has changed over the years.
Before you had like the Hollywood star as the otherness, like something that was different from your life. And they would be, in a positive sense, role models for you can have a different lifestyle. But today there has become a bigger demand of mass product. The celebrities also have to be the same. They have to be well behaved, they have to be like very polished and very one-dimensional figures.
In the rooms of the prefab, the artists show where the stars of today are made, in talent and reality shows. All of the fictional residents of the block have different tastes. Some watch soccer, some watch karaoke videos. It helps them dream of the world outside their own four walls.
In the sports world, there's also like a celebrity culture, dreaming about being closer. We all have our illusions. It's what keeps us going, like our Vorstellungskraft, like that we believe in something could be different.
They often juxtapose everyday life and luxury. Sculptures like mannequins clothed by French designers. A mock Prada boutique in the middle of the desert. A car and camping trailer in the middle of an exclusive shopping mall. The artists were also selected for the Danish and Nordic pavilions at the 2009 Biennale in Venice. Their exhibition was well received internationally. The show in Karlsruhe is their first exclusive exhibition in Germany.
They're in a very special position, not just nationally, but internationally. They connect things in a unique way. On the one hand, you have the spaces in architecture, but there's also the manner of staging and the performance factor displayed within these rooms.
A graffiti artist was invited to add to their work. And visitors are likewise encouraged to become directly involved.
And here, they're allowed to spy on their neighbors.
There is underlying humor and irony in Elmgreen and Inga Dragset's art.
It's very serious.
Serious humor. It's just as much melancholy.
The artists are a perfect team and have also been a couple in private for 15 years. Does that help with their creativity?
It was good for the working relationship at some point to get a little bit inspiration from other parts in our spare time.
Elmgreen and Dragset have become stars in their own right in the art world.
Just before we go, a reminder of our website at dw-world.de/English/Euromaxx, where there's lots more about the programme and other reports from previous shows to watch too. That's all for now, though, so bye-bye.